Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of truth and soul, in the vast mystery of human connection, words are not mere sounds. They are symbols, gateways into the inner world of a person. Today, I invite you to open your heart to a rare kind of man. Not the man of riches or charm, but the man whose words resonate like echoes from the depths of his soul. I am still learning. These 4 words, simple on the surface, carry the entire weight of a soul that has touched the eternal mystery of life. When a man utters this phrase, not as a performance, not to impress, but from the quiet honesty of his being, you must listen closely because something sacred is happening. He is not presenting a polished mask, nor trying to dominate with intellect or ego. He is revealing his most authentic truth, that he is unfinished and that he knows it. To say, I am still learning, is to admit that the self is not a completed statue, but a living, breathing work in progress. It means he has stopped pretending to have all the answers. It means he has abandoned the illusion of perfection, and in doing so, has stepped onto the true path of individuation, the journey of becoming whole, not flawless. There is immense strength in this kind of humility. Our culture teaches us to seek certainty, to appear confident, decisive, powerful, but beneath that often lies fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of being vulnerable, fear of being seen. A man who says, I am still learning, has overcome that fear. He is no longer driven by the need to appear invincible. He has accepted that to be human is to be in flux, to be evolving, shedding old layers, and growing into new ones. This kind of man becomes a mirror, not a mold. He does not expect you to be perfect either. He will not demand that you conform to an idealized version of love or of yourself. Because he is learning, he invites you to learn with him. Because he is questioning, he will not silence your questions. Because he is growing, he will celebrate your growth. He understands that in love, as in life, nothing is static. That to truly connect with another soul is to engage in a lifelong dance of discovery. And more than that, his willingness to learn means he is listening, not just to you, but to his own unconscious, to the whispers of dreams, to the lessons hidden in silence and failure. He does not run from discomfort, he lets it teach him. He does not cling to old beliefs when they no longer serve truth. He releases them. He does not seek control, but understanding. This is the mark of someone who has begun to wake up, not just to the world, but to himself. So when he says, I am still learning, do not hear it as uncertainty, hear it as wisdom. It is not a weakness. It is the quiet roar of a soul that has dared to step beyond the ego's need for dominance and into the deeper waters of becoming. It is the man who chooses growth over pride, inner truth over outer validation. This is a man who will not shrink from your depths. He will not panic when life shifts beneath your feet. He will not fall apart when confronted with change. He knows the path because he walks it. And if you walk beside him, you won't just find love. You'll find a companion for the journey into the wild unknown of the soul. When a man speaks these words sincerely, he opens a sacred doorway, not just into a conversation, but into the soul of another. It is a rare gesture, one that carries far more weight than mere politeness or curiosity. It is an invitation, a quiet signal that says, I am ready to witness you, not just the parts that smile and shine, but the ones that ache and tremble too. So many people ask questions to fill silence or to appear interested, but this question comes from a deeper place, a place that does not fear emotion, but respects it, a place that understands that behind every feeling is a story, and behind every story is a truth that deserves to be seen. When he says, tell me how you feel, he is not asking for logic. He is not demanding solutions or explanations. He is asking for your world, your inner weather, the soft terrain of your emotional landscape. He is saying, let me into your depths, not so I can fix you, but so I can sit beside you there. This kind of man does not flinch when he hears pain. He does not shrink away from tears. He does not change the subject when your voice shakes or when your truth makes the air heavier. He knows that true connection is forged not through surface comfort, but through the courage to stand in discomfort without looking away. To ask this question is to demonstrate emotional maturity. It is to recognize that feelings are not obstacles. They are guides. They are signals from the unconscious, carrying messages we often do not know how to speak aloud. And when someone makes space for those feelings, they are offering more than kindness. They are offering presence. He is not afraid of what you might say. He does not fear your sadness, your anger, your doubt, your joy. He does not try to shape your experience into something easier for him to handle. He does not love a version of you that is always calm, always rational, always composed. Instead, he makes room for the raw, unfiltered, unedited truth. And in that room, trust is born, because to be asked how you feel, and truly meant it, is to be told that you matter, that your inner life is not too much, that your vulnerability is not a burden but a bridge. A man who asks this and listens without judgment, without rushing to fix or defend or deflect, he is doing something radical. He is loving you with his attention, with his silence, with his willingness to feel with you rather than simply observe. Most people only want the light, but this man is willing to sit with your shadow. He is not afraid of complexity. He does not need everything to be tidy and resolved. He knows that some things are meant to be held, not solved. That pain is not always a problem. It is sometimes just a passage. And he is willing to walk it with you, so when he says, "Tell me how you feel," understand the gift you are being given. It is a chance to be real without fear of being rejected for it. It is a chance to be fully human in front of someone who sees that not as a flaw, but as a sacred offering. This kind of man does not need perfection. He needs truth, and in seeking it, he gives you permission to stop hiding, to stop editing your voice, to stop pretending you're fine when you're not. He becomes a mirror in which you can see yourself clearly, even in the storm. And he stays, not because you are easy to understand, but because you are worth understanding. He may not say those exact words, but when he speaks of his mistakes, his regrets, his fears, and the parts of himself that once frightened him, he is telling you, without armor or disguise, that he has looked into the mirror and refused to turn away. That is rare, that is sacred, because to meet one's shadow is to confront the very parts we are taught to deny, repress, or fear. It is to walk into the dark corners of the soul where our wounds, our shame, our envy, our rage, and our weakness live, not to destroy them, but to understand them. When a man says he has met his shadow, he is revealing a battle not with others, but within himself. He is telling you that he has stood face to face with the impulses that once controlled him, the part that blamed others, the part that avoided responsibility, the part that craved power, validation, or escape. And instead of casting that part away or pretending it didn't exist, he chose the harder path. He listened. This is not the path of a coward. It is the journey of someone who seeks to become whole. Because only the brave are willing to see themselves completely, not just the identity they show the world, but the contradictions and chaos that live beneath. And in doing so, they begin to integrate what was once fragmented. He knows now that he is not only light, and that pretending to be good does not make one wise. He understands that true goodness is not a performance. It is forged in the fire of inner conflict, in the willingness to admit, "I have hurt, I have failed, I have been wrong." A man who has met his shadow does not seek to impress you with his virtue. He does not present a polished image or use spiritual words to hide his insecurities. He is not perfect, and he does not pretend to be. Instead, he is real. He no longer projects his inner war onto others. He no longer needs to dominate, manipulate, or compete to prove his worth. Because he has wrestled with his own darkness, he does not fear yours. He does not judge you when you show your pain. He does not run when things become emotionally complex. He stays, not because it's easy, but because he understands the value of staying, with himself and with you. He has learned that the shadow is not the enemy, it is the teacher. The shadow holds power not because it is evil, but because it is repressed. It gains control when ignored, but when brought into the light of awareness, it transforms. It softens, it begins to serve rather than sabotage, and that transformation changes everything. A man who has met his shadow will not be startled by your vulnerability. He will not demand perfection from you. because he no longer demands it from himself. He has let go of the illusion that love requires constant harmony. He knows love is forged in moments of rupture and repair, in the willingness to confront what's uncomfortable without fleeing from it. He doesn't need to be seen as the good guy anymore. He needs to be seen as himself, and in return, he offers you the same gift, the freedom to be whole, not just beautiful, but broken, brilliant, angry, tender, afraid, and everything in between. He invites you to bring your full self, not your edited self. This kind of man is rare, because most people spend their entire lives avoiding their shadow. They run from discomfort, blame others for their pain, and hide behind masks of certainty. But the man who says, "I've met my shadow," is no longer afraid of the dark. He has learned that within it lies the very gold of the soul: empathy, wisdom, depth, compassion. He will not be perfect, but he will be real. And real is what sustains love when the surface shatters. Real is what holds your hand when the illusions fall away. Real is what remains when nothing else does. This is the man who has walked through the fire of his own making and come out not burned but forged. When he says this, truly says it, not as a passive gesture or a careless dismissal, but with presence, intention, and soul. It is not just a phrase, it is a revolution. It is the dismantling of every invisible chain that love, fear, and control have wrapped around the heart through centuries of misunderstanding. "You are free" means he does not see you as a possession, not as something to mold or manage, but as a living being with your own path, your own rhythm, your own sacred fire. This kind of man understands that love is not a cage dressed in flowers. He has learned perhaps the hard way that love cannot be owned, it cannot be controlled, it cannot be held too tightly, because the moment it is, it begins to wither. When he says, "You are free," what he's really saying is, "I trust you. I honor your autonomy. I will not shrink you to fit the shape of my expectations." He knows the difference between closeness and control. He does not call your independence a threat. He does not call your silence rejection. He does not confuse your strength with rebellion. Instead, he celebrates it. He sees that your power does not diminish his, it expands it. He is not trying to eclipse your light to make it shine brighter. He is standing beside you, not in front of you. He is not trying to lead you off your path or pull you onto his. He is walking his own and encouraging you to walk yours. "You are free" also means, I will not bind you with guilt. I will not try to own your time, your dreams, or your truth. I will not use love as leverage. I will not shrink when you grow. I will not ask you to become less so that I can feel like more. He knows that if you stay, it should not be out of fear, or obligation, or dependency. It should be because your soul chooses to, because you want to be there, because it feels right, not because you are too afraid to leave. This kind of man has matured beyond the illusions of power. He has unlearned the stories that said love should dominate. He has seen the damage caused when affection becomes a currency of control, when tenderness becomes surveillance, when care becomes coercion, and he has chosen to step into a different story, a story where love means liberation. He will not panic when you need space. He will not crumble when you set a boundary. He will not interpret your independence as disloyalty, because he does not measure love by proximity. He measures it by presence. And presence to him is not about clinging. It is about showing up with an open hand, not a closed fist. To say "you are free" is to love with open eyes and an open heart. It is to release the need to be needed and instead to offer something purer: companionship without possession, care without condition, commitment without chains. It takes immense strength to love this way. It takes someone who has already made peace with their own loneliness, someone who does not fear being alone because they have found meaning in solitude. It takes someone who has learned that love is not meant to fill a void, but to dance between two full souls. And so when he says, "You are free," he is offering you not just respect, but a form of love that has depth and dignity. He is not saying, "I don't care." He is saying, "I care enough to let you be exactly who you are." He is not stepping away. He is standing beside you without trying to shape you. And if one day you should need to go, on a journey, a quest, or even away from him, he will hurt, yes, but he will not try to stop you. Because love to him is not about keeping. It's about witnessing, supporting, and allowing. And if you stay, he will know that you stayed because your heart chose to. Not because it had to, not because it was trapped, but because it felt safe, seen, and yes, free. And there is no greater love than that. These words are not just a romantic proposal or a poetic gesture. They are the voice of a soul that no longer seeks love merely as comfort, but as transformation. When a man says this with sincerity, it means he has recognized that love is not just about connection. It is about co-creation. It is not simply about sharing moments. It is about building something that did not exist before the two of you met. To create something together is to merge not just hearts, but visions. It is the union of two inner worlds that choose not to dissolve into each other, but to collaborate, to contribute, to build a shared space where dreams take form and meaning multiplies. This is not about creating a perfect life or some fairy tale future. It is about honoring the alchemical power of relationship, the kind that brings new energy into the world, whether it be a conversation that sparks insight, a shared mission, a family, an idea, or a legacy. A man who says, "Let us create something together," is not seeking passivity. He is not looking for someone to orbit around him. He is looking for a co-architect. He understands that beauty grows not from dominance or control, but from mutual effort, from tension and resolution, from the ability to dream in parallel. He knows that true intimacy does not mean merging into one, but standing side by side as whole beings, hands covered in the dust of shared labor, building a life that carries both of your fingerprints. He values your mind as much as your presence. He seeks your input, not your obedience. He wants your imagination, your fire, your ideas. He wants to hear your voice in the walls of whatever you build together. And he wants to be heard too. This is not a man who seeks a mirror. He seeks a partner, someone with her own strength, her own vision, her own wildness, someone who will challenge him, expand him, question him, and love him still. There is a deep responsibility in this kind of love, because creation is not always easy. It is not always romantic or poetic. Sometimes it is difficult. Sometimes it involves breaking down old structures. Sometimes it involves discomfort, disagreement, and uncertainty, but this man welcomes that. He knows that in any act of true creation there will be friction, and he is not afraid of it, because he understands that conflict too can be generative. It is not something to be feared, but something to be worked with, refined, and grown from. To say, "Let us create something together," is also to make a commitment, not just to you, but to the process, to the slow unfolding of shared life, to the mess of collaboration, to the unpredictable beauty of watching something take shape over time. It means he is not here for momentary pleasure or surface-level intimacy. He is here for depth, for meaning, for a legacy of the heart. He is telling you that he sees potential in your union, that it is not just about how you make him feel, but what the two of you might bring into the world because you found each other. And this creation may not be grand or public. It may be quiet, private, deeply personal. It may be a way of living, a home, a sanctuary, a new way of loving that neither of you had known before. And yet, even in its smallest form, it is sacred. This kind of man is not afraid to dream with you. He is not afraid to work with you. He does not place the burden of creation on your shoulders alone, nor does he seek to carry it all himself. He knows that creation born from love is a dance, a dialogue, a constant flow of giving and receiving, leading and following, surrendering and rising. And in that invitation, "Let us create something together," he gives you the most powerful gift of all, partnership with purpose. So if you hear those words, and you feel that something in you stirs, not out of fantasy, but out of recognition, then know that you've been invited into something rare, something alive, something that will change not only the two of you, but perhaps the world around you. Because when two conscious souls come together to create, they do not just build, they awaken something eternal,